Okay, we're continuing with quotes in alphabetical order. The first one is Brenda Uleland. She is a writing teacher from America. Here's a couple of her quotes. Writing is the action of thinking, just as drawing is the action of seeing, and composing music is the action of hearing. Okay, now she says, the imagination needs time. Time for long, inefficient, happy idling, dawdling, and puttering. At last I realized that writing was the impulse to share with other people a feeling or a truth that I myself had. Yeah, you have to have big, long blocks of time just to work on the writing project, whatever it might be. For example, when I first went into conventional clinical medical practice, I was an imaging-guided surgeon, interventional radiologist. So I was constantly getting paged all the time on my days off and having to rush over to the hospital for emergencies. You know, it was nice in the sense that it paid a lot of money. It was kind of exciting at times, big cases, but you couldn't really do any writing because you never have a big interrupted block of time. You never know for sure if you're going to have it. The beeper's always going off. Then when I later switched to mostly doing neuroradiology, I still, of course, do some imaging-guided surgery, and I do general radiology, and I do these, write my books, and I do this YouTube channel. I get tons of unofficial consults. People are coming to me all the time for advice about nutrition and health, etc. But I got big blocks of time now that I didn't used to have, so I can write, and I like that. You need that if you really want to be serious about writing. Okay, other things she says. The only way to become a better writer is to become a better person. Yeah, I think that's a big part of it too, is if you want to be funny, well, then you should learn from funny people. Watch all the comedians, read joke books, get a sense of comedic timing when you talk to other people. Constantly be practicing your jokes and you'll become funnier if that's what you want. Then she says, everyone is original if they tell the truth and speak from their truth self and not from the so-called self that they think they're supposed to be. Yeah, you know how like people in your family could be real funny even if they've never written a word on a piece of paper in their life for the purpose of entertaining others. You know, when it comes from the gut, it's good, you know, like Samuel Taylor Coleridge said, what comes from the heart goes to the heart. Be bold, be free, be truthful. Okay, then she says, for me, daily 5 or 6 mile walk helps, and one must go alone and every day. And yeah, and other people said this, you know, a lot of the real smart people said this. Thomas Jefferson, train yourself to walk very far. Exercise is more important than learning because you need to have your health. I personally, on all my days off, I usually walk 7 miles, sometimes 8. If I'm lifting weights a lot, I might settle for only walking 5 or 6 miles, but I try to get that mileage in. I do it on a treadmill reading a book, and I get a lot of reading that way done, and it helps me sleep better. When you get older, you get more fragile, so you really have to optimize all your habits if you want to keep your act together. Okay, just one quote from the Upanishad, sort of like an India thing. It says, you are what your deep driving desire is. And your desire, as your desire is, so is your will. And as your will is, so is your deed. And as your deed is, so is your destiny. Okay, so that's the point of get your personal philosophy correct. Because once you make a decision of who you are and what you want to do with your remaining time on earth, you'll just focus all your energy on it and you'll be a lot more successful. And what you're trying to accomplish is get your conscious mind to be matched up with your subconscious mind. And once you do that, you don't block yourself because they're in alignment and they work together. Your subconscious mind's smarter than your conscious mind. It's always looking for information and it tosses you ideas like when you're in the shower, when you first wake up in the morning, when you're just distracted with something else. So, in order to get that subconscious mind power, so to speak, you have to figure out what your goals are. Like my goal is to be the best doctor in the world, which is surprisingly easy to do because almost all the other high IQs have gone for the money rather than for being the best. So I'm holding on to that territory. My other idea is I want to try to save Western civilization. You know, and I can't do much other than write books and make videos, but I do the best I can. And I know I'm right, so it gives me pleasure to do this. My channel's not even monetized, but it makes me happy to make this channel. So I do it. I figure it's the best thing I can do with my time. Old guys like that, you know. We can no longer compete with the young guys in sports. They're stronger than us, okay? But we can dominate them in intellectual things because we got so much more knowledge than they do. And I just like doing it, okay? Anyways, John Updike, he lived from 1932 to 2009. He's an American writer, a novelist. He says, to be a great novelist, a writer has to have a love of life. I would agree with that. I want to read somebody who's positive, who's upbeat, that's going to show me how to handle obstacles in life, how to overcome them. Okay, that's why I love writers like Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol, Fyodor Dostoevsky, Brothers Karamazov and Alyosha, and Victor Hugo, Les Miserables, and Jean Valjean, okay, Henry Sienkiewicz, Quo Vadis, okay, and Vinicius, because those are all characters who overcame obstacles to be successful, okay, and that's what you want, to figure out how to be more successful and handle all the problems you have in life. And a good writer should, have a joy and a sense of resilience and energy to overcome problems. So you learn from them. Okay, and other things, to be a great novelist, you have to be able to organize material, keep the story coherent, and you have to be able to see the point of view of others. Here's a good quote. The American novel tends to be more individualistic. The European novel tends to be more about a person's relationship to the society or community around them. In other words, about the society community. The secret of my longevity as a writer is that I don't drink. An artist brings something new into the world, and he does it without destroying anything else. Okay, that's John Updike. That's our quotes for today. I hope you found that helpful.